Hey guys, my name is Steph, and today I'm going to be guiding you through a yoga class to help relieve tension in and around your hips. We will be holding these postures for slightly longer holds than we would in a flow class. This way we can really work through the fascia and muscle tissue to relieve any tension that you may be feeling. We'll be working through a series of stretches to lengthen and open up the hip flexors, hamstrings, and the hips. You won't need any props to get started. Whenever you are ready, you can roll out your mat and we'll begin today's practice. Come to a standing position in the middle of the mat. If you're really tight in the hamstrings, you can take your feet mat distance apart or slightly wider. Soften the knees here as you fold forward, hinging at the hips. Belly comes down to the thighs. Hands can reach down toward the ground. If you're someone who needs to be holding onto something, you can grab onto opposite arms here. Sway from side to side if that feels good. Take some time to bring a sense of awareness to your breath. Inhale, exhale to take it a little deeper. Inhale, tailbone reaches toward the sky, head reaches toward the ground, exhale. Inhale, exhale, side out. Inhale, exhale. Place the right hand slightly in front of your feet, lengthening through the spine here. Bring a bend to the right leg, twisting through the torso, looking up to the sky. Left hand reaches up above. The right leg is bent, left leg is straight here. Breathe. Exhale to twist, back down to the ground. Left hand touches the mat, slightly in front of the hands. Bend the left leg, straighten the right leg. Right arm reaches up to the sky as you twist through the torso here. Feeling this stretch start to wake up the hamstrings. Breathe. We're going to find a little flow here. So exhale to lower that right hand down, switch legs, so bend the right leg, lengthen through the torso, twisting, reaching that left arm up as you inhale. Exhale, left hand comes down, straighten the right leg, bend the left, reach that right arm up. Breathe in, twist. Exhale, switch hands. Bend that right leg, breathe in, twist that left arm up to the sky. Exhale, switch hands. Inhale to twist as you lift that arm up. And exhale, lower. Both hands come down to the ground. Walk the hands slightly forward here, feet back, taking a downward facing dog. Check that your feet are hip distance apart. Soften the knees if you're tight in the hamstrings here. Pull the belly button in toward the spine. Spread the fingertips wide. Create space between your shoulders and your ears. Pedal out your dog here, straightening and bending the legs just like we did in that standing forward fold posture. Rocking side to side, bringing breath and awareness to your hip area. Inhale, lifting the left leg up to the sky, keeping those hips square. Exhale, step it through outside the hands. Keep the back leg lifted. Come onto the toes of that back leg, rocking side to side. Hug your right hip down toward the ground and left leg and hip in toward your torso here, rocking forward and back. Lengthen through the spine, looking just in front of your mat. Check that your left knee is over top of the ankle. Waking up the left hip and the right hip flexor here. Continue to rock. Inhale. Exhale, side out. To create heat in the body, to help you move through the tension in the postures, you can take your Ujjayi breath. So breathe in. This time closing the lips, bringing the exhale inside to make an ocean wave-like sound. Again, breathe in, continue to rock. Exhale, bring that breath inward to create an ocean-like sound. And we'll take one more. We've been holding this side for a while. I'm sure you're feeling the heat. Breathe in and exhale, bring that ocean-like sound inward. Push into your hands, step that left foot back, downward facing dog. Pedal out your dog here. Inhale the right leg up to the sky. Keep those hips square. Exhale, step it through outside the hands. Micro adjust the feet if you need. Come high onto the toes of that left leg. Keep the leg active. Engage that left glute. Pull that left hip down toward the mat. Hug your right leg in toward your torso, rocking back and forth. Opening up the left hip flexor here and engaging the right hip. Breathe through the sensations that you feel. You might notice that one side feels more tight and it's holding more tension than the other side. And just know that this is normal for every body. And again, finding a connection with your breath. As you bring it inwards, that's your area to focus on as you feel the tension release. Yoga postures will reveal where we're limited, mentally and physically. Take a few more breaths here, starting to really feel the heat build up in that left hip flexor and that right hip. Push into your hands, lift that right leg back to downward facing dog. Check that the feet are hip distance apart here. Fingertips spread wide, belly button pulls in toward your spine as your heart melts back toward your legs. Create space between your shoulders and your ears. Inhale, high onto the toes, bending the knees. Exhale, melt the heels down toward the mat. One more inhale, lift those heels up. Exhale, step or jump your feet outside of the mat, about halfway up. Melt your hips down toward the mat, rocking from side to side. Tailbone reaches down toward the ground, head reaches toward the sky in one long line. Melt those hips down toward the mat. Heels turn slightly inward, toes pointing out. You can continue to rock side to side if that feels good, or melt your bum down toward the ground and breathe here. Use the outer edge of your arms, your tricep muscles, to push into the inner thighs to feel the stretch through the inner hips here. Breathe. Find a connection with your breath. Hands come down to the mat, hips reach up toward the sky as you straighten your legs, taking another forward fold here. You can keep your feet mat distance apart or walk your toes in toward the middle of the mat. Peace fingers wrap around the big toes. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, looking to the top of the mat. You can bend the knees if you're tight in the hamstrings here. You want your belly to stay connected with the thighs as you fold forward. Tailbone reaches toward the sky. Head reaches down toward the ground. Breathe here. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, looking to the top of the mat. Exhale, fold forward, taking it a little bit deeper. We'll find a little bit of a flow here again. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Fingertips remain connected with the toes. Exhale, fold forward, taking it a little deeper. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, keeping the belly connected with your thighs here. That's super important to lengthen the hamstrings. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Inhale, look forward, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold deeper. Place your hands slightly in front of the feet here. Step your left foot outside of the left hand. This time taking lizard lunge, but dropping the back knee. You want to make sure you're not resting right on the kneecap, but just above the knee. Hands come to the inside of the left foot. Finding a really strong foundation here. Root your left foot into the mat. Check that that knee is over top of the ankle and hug that thigh in toward your torso. Inhale to lift the hands up off of the ground, feeling this stretch in the left hip flexor here, taking a low lunge. Finding a slight pelvic tilt, so tailbone reaches down toward the ground. Might need to micro adjust the knees so you're right above the patella and not right on the kneecap. Hug that right heel in toward your bum, keeping that right glute activated. Lifting up out of your pelvic region here as you tilt your pelvis forward so the tailbone reaches down toward the ground with a slight hip thrust forward. You'll really feel the stretch in the right quad and right hip flexor here. Find a connection with your breath. Focus on each inhale and exhale as you feel the release. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Continue to hug that right heel in toward your bum. One more breath. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, lower the right leg down to the ground. Torso comes forward, hands come to the mat. Shuffle the left leg out so it's to the outside of the mat. Roll onto the outer edge of the left hip. The left knee opens up to the side. Take your left hand to the inner left thigh. Keep those toes tucked under on that back leg to help keep the hips square. Twisting through the torso as you look behind here. Continue to breathe. You'll start to feel the stretch in the outer left hip here. Inhale that left leg in toward your torso. Both hands come down to the mat again. Switching the leg, so lift that left leg back into downward facing dog. Just take a few petals here. Inhale, the right leg steps outside the hands, dropping the left knee down to the mat. Keep the toes tucked under on that left leg to help keep the hips square. Hug the right leg in toward your right arm. Activate that left glute. Feeling the stretch in the hip flexor here, long through the spine. Inhale to bring both hands up to the right thigh, taking a low lunge. Feeling the stretch in the left hip flexor. Find a connection with your breath. Activate that left glute, hugging the left hip down toward the mat as you energetically, so not much of a movement happening here, but the right thigh hugs in toward your torso. Make a slight micro adjustment with the knee, so you're resting over top of the knee, so not right on the patella, but just above it. As you kick that left heel in toward your bum, reaching for it with your hand. You don't need to reach. If it's comfortable to keep it kicking, you can just keep both hands on that front thigh. If it's accessible to you, you can reach that left foot as you hug it in toward your bum. Again, tailbone reaches down toward the ground as you make a slight pelvic tilt here. Keeping that front foot rooted into the mat to keep you grounded. Breathe through the sensations that are coming up. Exhale, lower that leg down. Hands come to the mat inside of the right leg. Push both hands into the ground, lifting that back leg up, stepping back to downward facing dog. Inhale, shift the weight high onto the toes, heels lift up. Exhale, melt the hips down. Inhale, lift the heels up, coming high up onto the toes. Exhale, melt the heels down. Inhale, lift the heels up. Exhale, bend the knees, this time jumping through into a cross-legged position. Rolling back onto your back here. Lift your feet up to the sky, taking happy baby, so knees open wide. Feet are flexed. Grab onto the outer edge of your feet. Feeling each vertebrae of your spine connected with your ground. Energetically pull on your feet to help bring your tailbone and hips down toward the ground. Breathing here. If it feels good to rock from side to side, you can rock. Rocking from side to side if that feels good. You can take the peace fingers, wrap them around the big toe, and again, listening to your own body and adjusting as needed. You can keep that right foot bent and lengthen through the left leg to rock a little bit sideways and switch. Straighten through the right leg, keep that left leg bent. Release the grip here. Coming up to a seated position, roll onto the left side, taking your time. Facing the front of the mat, soles of the feet touch, knees open wide like a book. Shift your pelvis a little bit forward, heels reach toward your body. Lengthen through the spine, keeping the heart and chest open, taking butterfly. Keeping your spine long, we're keeping this stretch more active than passive. Heart open, shoulders relaxed, creating space between the ears and shoulders. Connect with your breath here. Shift your weight up into a seated position. That concludes today's practice. I hope you enjoyed it and that you're feeling more open and a sense of relief in your hip area. Thank you for joining me, and namaste.